Stay tuned for a meeting of the City of Calabasas Commission. The meeting will be broadcast using Zoom and the city's CTV Channel 3. Commission members may teleconference into the meeting without noticing or posting an agenda at their teleconference location. Besides the live TV and Zoom broadcast, the live stream of the meeting may be viewed online at cityofcalabasas.com/CTV Live. If you want to provide public comment, press raise hand if you're using Zoom or *9 if you're joining by phone. Just unmute yourself by pressing *6. Say your name and the city you live in. You'll be allowed 3 minutes to address the commission regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. If the power or internet goes out lasting more than 15 minutes, or if there's some event that prevents the commission from meeting or prevents you from providing public comment, then the meeting will be adjourned. Any items noticed as public hearings will be rescheduled to the next regular commission meeting. Any other agenda items the commission has not taken action on will be placed on a future agenda. Now, a meeting of the City of Calabasas Commission.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Calabasas Public Safety Commission meeting, January 23rd, 2023. First order of business is to call a roll call of the commissioners. We start with Brian.
Present.
Matt.
Present.
Joe.
Present.
Norma. Here. Jeff.
Present.
Jay.
Present.
And Ryan.
Present.
Welcome all. Welcome to our West Haver and Deputy Mateo and to the City of Los Angeles Fire Department. They will be coming along. Matt, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure. There we go. Place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Matt. May I call for approval of the agenda tonight?
I will move to approve the agenda with the addition of Kindon Meek under announcements and introductions.
Thank you. And second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Norma. Can I call for approval of the minutes of October 24th, 2022?
Okay. I'll move that we approve the minutes. I read them over.
And I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. With the addition, we are going to go right into Kindon, and Kindon is going to speak to us about the February 2nd meeting with the homeowners and associations and security teams. Welcome, Kindon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy New Year to all of you. If I haven't been able to wish you a Happy New Year so far, it's good to be with you tonight. I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about our upcoming meeting on February 2nd. This is a meeting that had been planned for some time and started to play out actually last year under the direction of David Shapiro and Alicia Weintraub as our Public Safety Task Force meeting, or Public Safety Task Force. The meeting will focus with an invitation from Captain Situ and her team on some of the crime statistics we're seeing, especially home burglaries. We'll also be talking about other crime trends, what we've seen in the community over this last year. We'll look at the automatic license plate readers or the flock cameras. And we'll also talk about the speeding and reckless driving. Now, a little bit about this. I'm very much aware, and I had a chance to talk with Sharon and Matt earlier today, that the commission is hoping to move forward with a workshop or a forum as well. And at the staff level, we received your request and the ideas that you had. and initially we thought we could marry the two, meaning this workshop and then the workshop hosted by the Public Safety Commission. The more we talked with Captain C2 and realized the time it would take to spend on the burglaries and have that with the HOAs and specifically with that group of participants, we realized that we couldn't do everything. And so I own that, and so I need to apologize to you that this is a much slimmed down than what you thought of a workshop from the Public Safety Commission. But at the same time, we want you to know that we heard you loud and clear, and we understand that request to move forward with a bigger, more community-focused workshop in the future. And so we'll be talking about dates of when we can do that, and that would include some of the other items that won't be specifically addressed at the February 2nd. I do want to extend an invitation that each of you participate. It will be done in person. We are recording it. A little bit of the nuances with this is because we are not agendizing this as either a city council meeting or a public safety commission meeting, we to avoid any Brown Act issues, David and Alicia will be there as our mayor and vice mayor, but representing the task force. Other council members may attend, but in essence, they will be representing members of the community. They will come as citizens to that. But we felt it was important that they hear that information. But to avoid, again, that Brown Act in any discussion and any decision, we won't be agendizing it as such. Similarly, Sharon and Matt will be there representing the chair and the vice chair of the Public Safety Commission. But we need all of you there to hear that same information, but acting in that capacity of knowing in the back of your mind that you're commissioners, but being there as citizens and not being there to make a discussion or a decision. We really see this as a springboard to some of the things that we'll be doing over the next few months with the commission, especially bringing back some of these topics for your input and your advice that will later go to the council. So with that, I just wanted to open up, Madam Chair, if it's okay with any just questions from the commissioners, and happy to answer those at this time.
Please feel free to ask questions. Matt and I have asked a lot of questions of Kindin, so we want to hear questions from you as well. Brian?
Yeah, just had to navigate the unmute button. Out of curiosity, the agenda for the meeting on the 2nd, it's going to be Captain C2, and who else is going to be on the days?
So I don't know, Debbie, do we have all of Captain C2's team that is confirmed? She's bringing several. I know that Deputy DiMatteo will be attending and has been invited. We have some of the detectives that will be there answering specific questions. I don't know exactly who all from her team, unless Debbie, you've received that from Captain C2.
Oh, we haven't received that yet. Probably next week.
And I presume that the whole messaging of this event is going to be on crime and crime prevention.
That is correct. And so the original audience was not to go out to a community-wide audience. The invites are the HOA boards and community association boards and any security companies that represent those HOAs. Again, we're really trying to get a small targeted group. It will be the meeting will be recorded and it will go out to others. So it will be available on the website so people can watch it. But we felt it was important, in part in talking with Captain C2, she's been trying to make appointments with each of the HOAs and do a meeting, an in-person meeting with each of the HOA boards with, nearly 50, I think 52 HOAs and community associations in Calabasas. That would just take so long to do that. And so we felt it was important to get everybody in the same room and hear the same message. And then, Brian, one of the other things that really was the impetus for this is in talking with Captain C2 and with her team, we realized that one, the sheriff's department doesn't know who a lot of the private security firms are that are working for the HOAs. And so we wanted them in the room. And then number two, we get the impression that the the security teams, the security firms aren't communicating with each other. And so when we're looking at an issue that is really plaguing the entire community, when we're talking about home burglaries, especially those coming from open space, one HOA could do a wonderful job in protecting their open space, but all that is going to do is push the crime off into another HOA. And so we felt it was important to have that same message with each of the HOA boards.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, hi, Jeff Perano. Hey, Kingdon, how are you? I know we talked in the past about, and I'm not sure if this is the right place to bring this up right now, or about the speeding along Valmar. And I know you were waiting to see how the sheriff was going to deal with getting the city more officers or motor officers. I know there's one assigned to Calabasas. And lately they've done I just want to let you know, they've done a great job. I've noticed a significant decrease. I know Dean Mateo's worked to get those guys over here and cracking down. I guess these kids coming from the valley and they drive up to stunt to kind of race their stunt, and they use Valmar as that crossway to get from the valley to stunt. Just curious if you have any plans, like I discussed with you earlier, on some speed type signs that have flashing, the flashing style, like lighting saying you're going this fast along Valmar. Or anything been put in play for that in the budget to put up some of those type signs, or any more speed control type measures along Valmar?
Yeah, and Jeff, thank you for bringing that up. That is actually one of the items on the agenda. So that's one of I just didn't read that off. So we do have speeding and reckless driving on there. And the Lost Hill Station will be giving a report on their efforts. And I'm glad you touched on that, because they have been making a concerted effort over the last couple of months to really do the enforcement side of it. On the city's end, and we'll talk a little bit more about this next week, we did purchase a mobile speed radar, and we've been moving that around, locating it in different spots of town for about a 2-week interval, and then we move it to another spot. And we'll have the schedule of that, of how we're rotating that device. One of the reasons we went with the mobile one is what we've learned, and just through experience and in talking with our law enforcement team, often when you put a permanent one in, after some time it becomes invisible. And so if you think about it, maybe as a pop quiz for the commissioners here, we have 6 permanent speed signs that Jeff was talking about in town. So these are done with radar, and then it shows your speed. Does anybody know where those 6 are in town?
We're all law-abiding citizens, so we don't pay attention to such things. Yeah,
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's one on Valmar.
There isn't one on Valmar. So there is one right next to City Hall as you enter it in. I don't know if you recognize that one, but again, it's after a while, it just becomes invisible. And so, Jeff, that's one of the reasons we're using the mobile one to move it around. Sure. It really then ties in with enforcement from.
And I think the biggest thing is getting more motors to do listen. The speed, radar and hitting it and giving out tickets is going to slow the kids down that are racing through the area. I live right along Valmar. Obviously, it rattles my windows every day, so it's annoying. Why I'm probably bringing this up and brought up to you several times in emails, you and Alicia. And I appreciate you getting back to me. And I know there's a lot going on with trying to get more officers and hearing that at the last meeting that you guys were entertaining that idea. I think that's a great thing for the city of Calabasas to do.
Thanks, Jeff.
Picking up on that as well, Kingdon, I'm pretty sure that you hear from all the areas in the city where this is going on, but I know it's a big concern to people, and they like to have somebody that they can report them to and get some kind of feedback as to what's being done about the situation. Also, I think it would be helpful to the sheriff's department if they had a sense of how many reports from different people they're picking up from different areas, and that might inform where they're going to next make enforcement efforts. I know that living in Deer Springs off Lost Hills, I'm beginning to hear it all the time at night now. People racing up and down Lost Hills. I've even heard people doing it in the neighborhood, which is scary, given that the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station is right around the corner. So, you know, it's important, I think, for the public to know who to go to for these kinds of complaints, and also to know that they are being heard on the point and the actions being taken.
Very
Thank
good
you.
point. Yeah, very good point, Jeff or Joe. And then one of the things I think Jeff has realized is a lot of times when residents call in, by the time the call is made, and even if there is a sheriff available, that speeder is gone, or that group of speeder is gone. And so what we found in talking with Mason and Captain C2 is really it comes from having these motor saturation, or these deputy saturation, where they come in with a group and they bring in several patrols or several motors from throughout the station's limits, and hit a few nights a week in different areas, and then come back and we'll do that again. That's what we've seen it to be the most successful. And Mason, I'm sure, has talked with the group. What we're struggling with right now is, you know, the station is at 75% of its staffing level, and to restaff that. And so, you know, they're hitting the minutes, the contractual minutes that they're required to do, but it's being done through overtime. And there's only so much overtime you can give a person before they're burned out. And so these saturation opportunities work really well, but are so much more difficult when you're staffed, or in this case, when we just went through the holidays and they're being pushed in overtime in other areas too, just to compensate for vacation or sick or whatever it might be.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Brian?
Chief Dyer has.
Oh,
his hand
sorry,
up.
I see the hand now.
no, real quick, I wanted to answer Brian's question about the workshop, as well as public's as crime. Debbie and I are going to do a short presentation on Zone Haven. It's an evacuation software that's being utilized in Los Angeles County and throughout the state of California. And we're going to do an awareness presentation on it. So everybody knows we're doing a tabletop on it with the executive team in Calabasas tomorrow, to see how we interact with the county EOC, the WIA, the wireless emergency alert system, and Blackboard. So we're going to learn a little bit tomorrow about it, and we look forward to presenting on the 2nd.
Thank you. Jay?
I just wanted to ask, do you advise students like me to go to to watch the recording? Well, myself, to actually go to the meeting, and then for students to maybe watch the recording online to see what goes behind the scenes, or what is being implemented in the community, so they're just a little bit aware about what's going on.
Anytime that you can get any kind of education from the community is very important, and I would encourage you to attend if you can, and or let everybody know they can watch it as well. I think it's important because it helps them be aware. I don't see it. Brian?
I just wanted to make the point that I would caution us all to not put too much reliance on the sheriffs coming out and patrolling and stopping the speeding problem. For one thing, I live in a community where one of my neighbors up the street drives an $8 million car, and and along with a number of other cars, I've seen them driving along Parkway, sounding like they're going 70 miles an hour when actually they're probably only doing 30. It's because of the gearing and the mufflers that they have on the car, makes it sound like they're really racing. So, a deputy there with a radar gun is just going to watch him go by. And you may get calls from residents saying, why didn't they stop that speeder? Because he wasn't speeding. The second point that I wanted to make is kind of a question. To what extent can we get the VOPs involved in doing this? And maybe that's a question for Deputy DiMatteo.
when he comes on, that's a question. You coming on, Deputy Mateo?
Let's see. Yes, I am here.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Brian, ask away.
To what extent do we have VOPs available in Calabasas, and to what extent, if any, can we use them to help facilitate the traffic control issues?
For traffic control, that's all they're really useful. That's all they really can do. They can't really get involved in deterring people from speeding or anything like that. They're encouraged not to get involved or even confront anybody. The main purpose of the VOPs is to assist with traffic control if there is an accident or something's blocking the roadway. That's, for now, that's about it.
And well, that brings up, Jeff is bobbing his head. Is that something we can ask VOPs to do in individual communities where there are restricted parking areas, where there's narrow roads because of fire things? So, I mean, is that something that they can be doing?
It's something that we can consider, but I don't know if they can do anything other than just be a set of eyes and ears for deputies. So, well, we can look into that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we will let Kendon go. But Kendon, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to work. And I will say this to the group: today's meeting was one of the first times that I, as a commissioner, felt valued in terms of what I could offer and bring to the city, and working collectively with the city council and the city staff. And I very much appreciate that. And I think for this commission, we're going to have a lot of work to do going forward, which I know that we're all experts in what we do. It's a very talented commission, as you can see, Kendon, and we can offer an awful lot to the city itself and to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. It's good to be with you.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. I want to introduce our new commissioners, and I would like for each of you just to tell a little bit about yourself so people can understand exactly what your expertise is. I've talked to Joe. I know a little bit. I read your application, Jeff, so I would like for you to share. So I'm going to start with Joe. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I will. My name is Joe Chilko. I am a Calabasas resident. I have been since the city incorporated. I started getting involved in local politics 6 years ago, and during that time, I've picked up a lot of information. I know that public safety is a major concern. It has been identified by the mayor and the mayor pro tem, and virtually all the residents that I speak to are very concerned about the issues of fire, evacuation routes, and crime. So my expertise, I've worked with a group within the community called the Calabasas Coalition, who have been very effective at communicating with the Calabasas residents in alerting them to various issues that affect quality of life. And everything on the Public Safety Commission affects quality of life. So it is a big challenge, as you say, but my talents are in writing, communicating. I have a background in contracts as well. And basically the fact that being a retiree, I don't have the constraints of work hours interfering with my ability to accomplish certain things. So I do a lot of research, take look at a lot of issues, try to look at the big picture as opposed to just what's happening in Calabasas. As recent updates to the safety element have indicated, they're now beginning to consider, oh, what's around us too. that could theoretically come in and threaten us in terms of those particular issues, particularly fire. So it's my expertise is in paying attention, finding out as much as I can, and trying to apply that knowledge to the benefit of myself and citizens of this great city. That's
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Jeff, a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jeff Pirano. I live in the Creekside complex over near Valmar and Park Ora. I live here with my wife and my kids. I'm 54 years old. I work for the County of Los Angeles Fire Department as a fire captain. I've been in the fire service for 30 plus years, and I've got involved in the county. Was offered to be a part of the commission when James approached me and asked if I'd like to be on it. And I've dealt with Kingdon on a few things with some traffic control, and I'm looking forward to share my my expertise per se if it's needed, and assist whatever is needed with the commission, and hopefully make our city a better place to live.
Well, welcome aboard, and we appreciate it. We look forward to that expertise and utilizing it. I'm welcome back, Matt and Norma and Brian. It's always good to see you guys. And then we have our student representative, and that would be Jay, and we have an alternate. And Debbie, do we need to do anything with Ryan?
I believe we need to take a vote. I know that you and Matt had already decided, but I think we need to take a vote. So we'll let him talk a little bit, and then we'll just take a formal vote.
So Ryan, if you would tell them a little bit of what you told us in the and why we brought you here tonight, that would be great.
Hi guys, thanks for having me here tonight. I go to CHS. I'm a junior. I'm on the boys varsity tennis team. I served last year in the Mayor's Youth Council, the subcommittee, and I helped out with lots of voter registration drives. We had one at the Pumpkin Festival. We had an event at the Calabasas High School and at Viewpoint, and we had, I think, 3 or 4 during the summer at like the Lake Concert and a few other places. I'm interested in learning about local government, and yeah.
And the one thing that we have shared, and we'll do the election one second, but we shared with Ryan is that as a student representative to us, and this is for you as well, Jay, and I don't believe we've ever said it to you, but we fully intend to have you active with the group and walking side by side with us, not behind us. You're going to be part and parcel to whatever we do. And we look for your knowledge and your young youth to help guide some of us older people along. But that's the intention. So with that, can I call a vote? All those in favor of putting Ryan on as the alternate with Jay being the student representative, please signal by saying A.
A.
Hey. Thank you.
And I just want to add my welcome to both of you and echo Sharon's comments. We need the younger group to start getting involved. I'm very glad that you two have chosen to do so. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome aboard, Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. Next on to the next thing on the agenda, and Debbie, I'm going to throw it to you.
Oral communications and public
Or
comment.
elections.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not on mine. Okay, well, chair and vice chair, since you've already had 2-year terms, 2 one-year terms, we will need to elect a new chair and a new vice chair. So if anybody wants to nominate anybody, Brian?
I'll nominate Sharon for chair and
Okay,
Matt for vice chair.
Okay, I think Sharon has already termed out.
Okay.
I believe she's already done the 2 years. So
Okay.
Well,
do you have
if,
somebody?
if she's up for it, I would encourage Sharon to stay on as vice chair if she's able to do that, if unable to continue to take the lead.
It's fine with me. However I can help. I appreciate it. I feel like today, just to say to this group, that sitting with Alicia and Kendon and Debbie and Michael, that it was a good meeting, and there has been, and we've worked for a long time to get to this spot, and Alicia will tell you that, to get to a spot where we can be part and parcel partners with the city staff and with the council. And so we took a big step today, and I kind of would like to see part of it follow through. So if you guys are okay with me being vice chair, I'm fine with that.
I have no objection. As a new person to the commission, I wouldn't even consider doing either of those jobs. I think the natural progression, if Matt was vice chair, is to go to chair. And
Yep.
if you'd like to stay on, Sharon, I have no objection to that either. I think that it's important, that we all hear the information that is conveyed to whoever the chair and the vice chair is as soon as reasonably possible. But I understand that sometimes there are Brown Act considerations, and that's just the fact that we deal with here. But yes, full speed ahead. I don't know what the procedures are. Are you looking for a second on those two nominations?
Nomination for chair was for Matt?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we'll need somebody to make a motion, and then we will vote on it. So if somebody would like to make a motion
Okay, I'll
Right.
make a motion.
for,
I'll second it.
okay, so Joe.
Do you need
Chilco-
me to say the exact words? No?
No, I'll just put it in the,
Okay.
the proper format. And then we need to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Debbie, we lost your
We
sound.
lost you speaking.
Nope. There
We
you go.
couldn't hear what you said.
Let's move on to Sharon for vice chair. So who would like to make a motion for her?
I will.
Brian, okay. So Brian and
I'll second.
okay. Take a vote. All in favor for Matt? I'm sorry, for Sharon,
There
for
we go.
vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, everyone. And Matt, with a big smile, I will throw it over to you.
How quickly we change. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. I greatly appreciated. Look forward to continuing to be a part of the group and hopefully live up to the great work Sharon's done for as long as I've been on this commission. So thank you to Sharon for leading the way for many years at this point, and glad you're able to continue to be a partner and vice chair and keep things moving along with us. So with that, Debbie, do we want to now go to the oral communications if we have any?
Yes. I have a few people that are attending. I'm not sure if they want to say anything. I have 5 people here. So I think they would need to raise their hand if they wanted to say anything. But I don't see anything. Oh, I had there, Ed Albrecht. Okay. All right. I just allowed him in. Ed, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I want to welcome the new commissioners, and I have a big passion for this particular commission so much, and I really appreciated being on it last year. I see some very familiar faces. Joe, welcome aboard. Matt, congratulations on taking the chair, and Sharon as vice chair. Brian, I haven't seen you in a while, but good seeing you. And Michael, I'm so glad to have you aboard. And also Ryan and Jay, congratulations for being along. And Debbie, always love having you. It's just a great commission. And I miss Norma. I'm so sorry, over there in the corner of my screen. So, it's a hardworking group. So you have the council's support. I mean, you don't need me to say that. I think you can feel it. There's a lot to do this year. So you can reach out to all of us at one time by on the website, just by clicking email to all or individually, and we're all going to respond as quickly as possible. So this is just, congrats, and I look forward to seeing some great things from the commission. We're going to do everything we can to keep you busy. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, looks like we can now move on to the agency reports. First, we have the Sheriff Department, Deputy Mason DeMatteo.
Hey, Debbie, actually, just before we jump into the reports, I just wanted to go through real quick to see if there was any announcement. We didn't do any kind of our round robin for any announcements or call outs. If anybody had anything to add, we can do that before we get into sheriff's reports. Sharon, any announcements or add-ons?
No, I think you guys have heard enough from me. But no, I'm good. Thank you. And I take that back. The only thing I would say is if you can come to the February 2nd meeting, I would encourage you to be there, and you will be acknowledged there.
Great. Norma, see that hand go up?
Yes, I have 2 FEMA seminars that are coming up. Let's see, tomorrow is one on responding to disabilities, access, and functional needs of the community, which I thought would be really helpful. And the second one, which I'm really wanting to go to, is Resolve to be Ready, Organizations Preparing for Emergency Needs. It's called Open. It's for businesses. So those 2 FEMA seminars are coming up.
Cool. And I'd imagine these are both online and people can sign up through the FEMA website.
Correct.
Excellent.
And when Norma says coming up, she means tomorrow and Wednesday.
Right.
So if you're thinking, yeah, I'll look into that, if you're interested, you need to get on it right away.
Thank you both. Brian, anything, any announcements on your side?
Nothing significant at this point in time.
Joe, any additions for you?
No, next time, I'm
Perfect.
sure.
And Jeff, anything to add on your side?
No, sir.
Jay, anything from
No,
you?
nothing from here, sir.
All right. And Ryan, any additions from you?
No, thank you.
Cool. I think the only thing I'll mention, again, welcome and congratulations to the new members of the group. Just an interesting kind of an issue that we have not talked about, I don't think, much in this commission, but seemingly it has come up a few times recently, at least in my neighborhood, is a quite an increase in our neighborhood wildlife. We've had a number of bobcat and mountain lion encounters recently. So just a reminder to all out there, be careful and call and report those encounters. Definitely remember that they were here first, and to give those animals the space that they need and keep those small pets protected. So with that, Debbie, I'll hand it back to you.
Debbie, you are on mute.
I
There we
know
go.
my mouse was not working. So we'll just, okay, now we can move on to the agency reports. And we start with Deputy De Matteo with sheriff report from the previous 3 months. So
All right, good evening. Yeah, I'm presenting the crime reports for October, November, December of 2022. And I'm just going to get right into it. Pretty busy months. There were a total of 100 Part 1 crimes for all 3 months combined. And 93 of those 100 Part 1 crimes were burglary or theft related. All right, 93 of 100. It's a pretty big number. So as you can tell, the major concern for crime trends in the city are burglary and theft. Yeah, we do have some assaults and some other family issues or transient related issues, but those are minor compared to what we're dealing with right now. And total for all months combined, we did have 18 residential burglaries with an average of about 6 a month. And then we had 6 commercial burglaries. We had 2 burglaries to storage units, 7 burglaries to locked vehicles, with a total of 33 burglary related crime. Now into theft, we had 14 grand theft incidents, and that ranges from catalytic converters and high dollar retail theft. We had 20 petty theft incidents, 16 thefts from unlocked vehicles, and 10 stolen cars, with a total of 60 theft related crimes through those 3 months. Pretty big numbers for theft and burglary for the city for those 3 months. And what are we doing about it? As you heard Mr. Meek talk about staffing issues, that is definitely an issue. But we have developed a burglary task force. This is being headed by a sergeant familiar with burglaries and theft. It's a burglary task force, and it's going to be, he's going to be joined by several deputies on the line, but only on an overtime basis for now, because we don't have the staffing. So we do have that HOA meeting on the 2nd, February 2nd. We will cover the crime trend of burglary, who's doing it, how they're doing it, and how to protect yourself from becoming a victim. So that's what we have right now to combat it, is basically educating the community, and with the assistance of a small burglary task force that we put together. So hopefully things turn around and we catch these guys, but this is a very organized group of people who do this for a living. So it's going to be tough, but we're definitely going to give it our best. Any questions for the crime report for those 3 months?
Questions? I know in the past you've sponsored catalytic converter sessions with etching. Any of those coming up that community should be aware of?
Yeah, so we had several catalytic converters. I believe it was 6 catalytic converters stolen in October. I don't believe we've had any since, or maybe we have and I have missed it, but it definitely still is. It's still an issue. So yeah, the etching events that Mr. Sladoff's talking about is we partner with a local mechanic or body shop in the community, and we take reservations. This is free to the community. And what the mechanic will do will etch a serial number, usually your license plate or your VIN number, onto your catalytic converter, thus making it serialized property. It doesn't prevent the catalytic converter from being stolen. However, if we do stop somebody with those catalytic converters in their possession, it will make it easier to prosecute that individual because they're in possession of serialized stolen property. We don't have any events coming up yet, but we do plan to within the next month or two. So stay tuned for that.
Great. questions, anyone? Brian?
Yeah, I read, what was it, last month, that there was a major bust of catalytic converter thieves headquartered in, was it Oregon? With operations on the East Coast. Anything you can add to that that's been done to kind of break up this ring?
Last year, I was a part of an operation where we took down a massive like intake center in Los Angeles. So I know that we're doing it, but as far as something that large happening again, I'm not sure. I have to await orders from Detective Bureau to see if we have that going on.
Okay, well, congratulations on your participation in that bust. Good
Yeah.
job.
I got to see it firsthand. The firsthand experience was nice to see. And it's absolutely insane to see how those people run those businesses.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's all.
Joe?
Yeah, at this point, I don't really have questions, but the information that you talked about that is going to get conveyed at the February 2nd, this just makes it that much more important that everybody across the city hears the same information. And I know that the intent is to record it and to post it because Kindon Meek, the city manager, made that statement. So it's very important for everybody to hear that.
Yeah, just so you know, I even after we do that, I'll still be attending individual HOA meetings to discuss those issues further, because in those private HOA meetings, you know, people can ask me nitty-gritty questions and I can tell them exactly, you know, what I know. And so a lot of people find that helpful because it's a personal experience. And just over the last since the beginning of the year, I've already attended 2, and they've been very successful. So just education and letting people know how to protect themselves really goes a long way.
That's great. HOAs, there are quite a few in the city. There are also large areas of the city that have no HOAs. And I know that there are organizations that operate within there. If they made requests for you to come out and speak to them, would you do that as well?
Yeah, no problem. I'm available to do that to anybody who wants it. We just got to schedule a date and time, and we'll get it rolling.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Questions, comments? Looks like we're good. Thank you so much, Deputy Dean Mateo. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks or so.
All right. See you soon. Thank you.
All right. All right. I think we'll move forward. Officer Haver from CHP. And there he is. Oh, now we got you.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Hi there. So I'm going to talk about the traffic collision reports for the same reporting period as Deputy DiMatteo, October, November, December of last year, 2022. And this will be on the 101 freeway. So for the northbound 101, for the month of October, we responded to 10 traffic collisions. Of those collisions, 4 were injury collisions and 6 were property damage only collisions. Some of the causes of these collisions were unsafe turning movement. We did arrest someone for DUI and also an unsafe lane change. The year prior, in October 2021, there's 11 traffic collisions. So pretty similar year after year as far as October is concerned for, again, this is the northbound 101. And then for the southbound 101, we responded 13 traffic collisions for the month of October. 5 were injury collisions and 8 were property damage only collisions. Some of the causes of these collisions were unsafe speed and unsafe lane change, which we tend to see a lot of it on that side of the freeway because you see that traffic building up in the evening heading southbound on the 101. We had quite an uptick from the year before. So this year's 13. The year prior, there were only 2. It's almost might be a typo. That's such a big discrepancy, but I'm pretty sure it was only 2. That was for October. Now for November on the northbound 101, we responded to 6 traffic collisions. 3 were injury collisions and 3 were property damage only collisions. We did have a DUI collision and arrest out of a few of those collisions, and also some of the same causes, unsafe speed, which is a rear end traffic collision, very common. The year prior, we had 5, so we were up 1 from 2021. Now for the southbound 101 for the month of November, there's 10 traffic collisions. 7 were injury and 3 were property damage only. Same causes of the collision, no DUI collisions, thankfully. And the year prior, there were 6 in November of 2022. 6 2021 and 10 in November of 2022. So up a few again for November also. And for the last month of the quarter, December of 2022, on the northbound 101, we responded to 7 collisions. 3 were injury collisions and 4 were property damage only collisions. Some of the same causes, I won't go over that more. And then there's a 7 for the year prior. So consistent year after year for December on the north 101. And then on the southbound 101 going through the Calabasas area, we responded to 2 traffic collisions. 1 was an injury and 1 was a property damage only collision. And these were unsafe speed or rear end collisions. And the year prior, there were 10. So this year we're down quite a bit in December, almost seeing the exact opposite of what occurred in October. So that's it for the traffic collision report. I also wanted to go over, because it's a new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Usually with the Highway Patrol, State Police, we have new laws. So I try to, there's quite a few of them. So I try to look at ones that are going to be more important, your curiosity within the city of Malibu. The city of Calabasas. There was a few laws, one by Senator Stern and Assembly Member Gabriel in regards to street racing, which has been brought up this evening. And it basically, some of these laws basically is a little stricter prosecution if a death results as a result of street racing or something of that nature. And then another portion, Assemblymember Gabriel, he expanded that, not just being on public streets, but also parking lots, more of a private property, seeing some street racing, assembly bills and Senate bills taking place, which is good. But something my Captain Ford always brings up, when we discuss these bills with assembly members, there's already good laws on the books. It's a matter of prosecution, which is deter people and keep people from continuing street racing. So come out with all these laws and assembly bills. It's about again getting that prosecution. So we'll see if something changes in that avenue. Another important law that I'm sure you heard about on the news is essentially law enforcement can't pull someone over and cite them for just this simple jaywalking, maybe because they aren't in a crosswalk or whatnot, which can be very dangerous. Think about that. People aren't paying attention, more people on their phones. You're given more avenues with people to cross the street, for various reasons, whether they're taking a shortcut. Some people, have some, under the influence, or maybe some sort of mental issue or crisis. So you really, as the public, need to be more careful, driving down the street, not to be so distracted with a passenger in your car, because ultimately you might see people, jumping out in front of you. Granted, they can't do that. They have to cross an area where it's reasonable for you to see them, basically essentially cross the street safely, not just jump out in front of you when you're going 40, 50 miles an hour. So obviously if an officer sees that, where you have to swerve out of the way or slam on your brakes, they can be cited for that. But the general jaywalking, there won't be a citation or pulling over for that. So tell your family members, spread the word, and be careful, because you might see it a little more often now than when you used to. And then that's it for the laws and the traffic collision report. Let me know if you guys have any questions in regards to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it, Brian.
Hi, thanks, Officer Paper. Got a science question for you. I was driving south on the 405 yesterday through the Westwood, West LA area, and I hit a patch of road that felt like all four tires had suddenly gone flat. It was just, the car was shaking, it was rattling, it was, my question is, was that intentional? Was that road poured in such a way that at a certain speed, it makes you feel that your car is acting up?
No, that's something Caltrans would probably answer better, but it wasn't necessarily a pothole. It's just sort of a portion of the roadway that was really rough.
Yeah, it lasted for like a mile and a half. I don't know if anybody else has been on that southbound 405 going through, the West LA area. But
Yeah.
that also raised, Sharon's bobbing her head. It also raised a memory that there is I don't remember what state it was even in, but somebody smartly on the side of a road carved grooves into the asphalt at certain specific distances, and that if you drove on that at a specific speed, the sound that your tires made was something from Beethoven. So I'm getting to a point here. Point is there anything from the standpoint of actual construction of the roadways or changes to the roadway that we as a city could be doing in order to dissuade people from going above a certain speed limit? I mean, we're not talking speed bumps. We're talking about just something that makes the car ride a little less comfortable.
No, I know what you're talking about, those grooves on the side of the highway or whatnot. Usually it's to keep people from falling asleep because you're that loud. As far as speeding, that's going to be something we're constantly looking into with either Public Works or Caltrans, because obviously we can't put in speed bumps everywhere. But if someone could come out with an innovation that would work as far as for speeding, but on major thoroughfare like that portion you're talking about down in West LA, I'm curious because I haven't been down there recently. I'm curious to, I wonder what's going on there, because if it's something that could possibly damage your car or whatnot, Caltrans is definitely going to learn about it really quick, because ultimately, as you see in some of these, I thought you were initially talking about potholes where,
no.
Yeah, if you have some sort of damage from potholes, you can make a claim with Caltrans to possibly get a tire fixed or whatnot. But I don't know. That would be a good question for Caltrans as far as that rough roadway.
Okay. And it's been that way for months, actually. It isn't new, and it's not potholes. It's just suddenly your car is going and for no apparent reason, because the road looks fine. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, the next time I go through there, I'll keep an eye out for it, and I'll report back to you hopefully next quarter, if not sooner.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brian. Norma, did you have one?
I was just going to ask Brian what lane he was in, but I was going to text him later. What lane are we go down there quite often, and we've never had that happen.
Yeah, the number 1 or 2.
Okay.
I was just going to ask, I know we've talked about street racing in the past. I believe CHP has had a task force and had some deployment. Just curious if there's been any new developments. I know a lot of agencies are trying to figure this out in our area and others, but before we let you go, just in case there was anything new on that front specifically.
No, unfortunately, we didn't have any street racing task force for this last quarter, else I would have brought some of that up, because a lot of, as Jeff mentioned, a lot of those, street racers are going through the city of Calabasas out to the canyons and vice versa. So it's a lot of the common things Deputy DiMatteo said. What it comes down is we're really short-staffed. So you get closer to the holiday season, more officers taking vacation, this and that, and you do need that time to rest. A lot of our street racing task force is based on overtime, because we truly don't have the numbers of officers working a normal beat to serve the public when crashes occur. So it's tough for us. We got more grant money. It's great that we got more grant money for the calendar year to combat street racing, but we need, as the sheriff's department mentioned, we need more officers to staff it, and we don't have that right now.
Understood. Hopefully a few more officers this year. Any other comments, questions for Officer Haver? Looks like we're done. Thank you so much, Officer Haver. We appreciate the update. We'll see you the next time.
Absolutely.
All right. Moves us along to our fire report. Chief Smith, did you want to kick that off?
I do. Well, good evening, Calabasas. It's nice to see everybody. I also have the 3-month report. Just to start off, though, your fire family is doing good. We're maintaining a healthy workforce. And this is actually the Los Angeles County Fire Department's 100th year anniversary that we're celebrating this year in 2023 as a consolidated fire protection district. We've had fire organizations within the county longer, but in consolidation wise, it happened 100 years ago. So there'll be hopefully a lot of festivities that everybody can get involved in, and there'll be some neat stuff that Megan will be posting on the Division 7 website, so you could see some of those things. And so we're excited about it. But starting with October, November, and December, we had a total of 564 calls. So that breaks down to about 188 a month and 6 to 7 a day for your Calabasas firefighters. Out of the medical calls, we had 398, 111 of those which required advanced life support, and 156 which required basic life support. We had one hazmat call, which was a homeowner that accidentally mixed some chemicals there at the home. And we had a hazardous condition, which are several, which were just made up of fuel tank leaks and cleanup after a vehicle fire and gas leaks, but nothing really major. We had 33 service calls and 121 good intent calls, but we did have 4 fires this year for this month. And so with that, 3 of which were structure fires. They're relatively benign, but notable. So one was a dryer fire. Just wanted to bring up that there is those malfunctions. So just making sure that people know the age of their appliances, because they do have a lifespan, of course. So things that we see every day that may become common, that we just know that things do need maintenance. The second structure fire, we had electrical outlet, which was kept in check with a sprinkler system, and it was initially suppressed by the sprinkler system. And the note behind that is if you're servicing your sprinkler systems regularly or you have them in your home, don't take neglect to them. And so we require commercial occupancies to have those inspected, which our jurisdictional fire stations do, and as well as our fire prevention division does. So I just wanted to bring that up, that sprinkler systems do work if they are functioning appropriately and people don't put stock or anything else in areas that they're not supposed to, or overplace any commodities within there. So that was a success. And then we had a small stove fire that was relatively benign. So that message is sometimes we have stove fires. It wasn't the stove's fault, but it was an unattended cooking. So just be mindful as you're navigating your life. We did have one vehicle fire, which is routinely common along the 101 freeway, and we didn't have any serious firefighter injuries with any of those. And with that, I will kick it over to Megan, because I know that she has some great things for you, and then we'll close out with any questions and answers.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all. Welcome to the new faces of Captain Pirano, or should I say Commissioner Pirano and Commissioner Chilco. It's good to see you guys. And of course, everyone else too. So we do have a few things that are in the works for the next few months. As Chief Dyer mentioned earlier, tomorrow there's going to be a kind of comms EOC drill that we're going to be participating in with City of Calabasas staff, as well as fire and OEM and sheriff. So hopefully we'll be able to coordinate some of our communications and how we will communicate during an evacuation situation. So that should be good. We also have a CERT class tentatively scheduled for Calabasas and Hidden Hills. That's scheduled to begin March 7th and continue for 7 consecutive Tuesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. at Founders Hall. I'm just working on getting the final approvals on that, and then I will send the flyer and all of the details to Debbie so we can get the word out on that. And then finally, the NOAA weather alert radios that I've been trying to get rid of for since last August. I still have a lot, so we need to schedule some more distribution events. Debbie and I are working together to put something together for late February, early March, because we want to have sufficient time to make sure that people are aware of it and drum up some interest in the radios. But other than that, unless somebody has any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you both. I'm sure it's been rather busy for everybody, putting the fires aside, but adding a whole lot more water now. So that's different problems. Joe, question.
Yes, the drills for communication tests that you're going to do tomorrow. How do we get access to the results of such things? I know you're coordinating with the city, so I'm just asking.
I think we'll have to negotiate that to see how the end results of that is, and we'll talk to, I'll start with Chief Dyer. We'll talk with Chief Dyer, and then we'll talk to Kennan and see how we want to deliver that and see how we want to package it. So it's more of it's a workshop. And so we want to exercise what we know now in the evolution of the technology that we have. So I don't want to say that we're going to have statistics behind it. It's going to be a workshop to exercise its use, but we will come up with findings and best practice, and we're going to build upon that. And that message can get distributed to the group, and I'll work with Chief Dyer on how that message gets delivered and we package it up.
That's great, because communication is key in all the public safety situations that we're talking about. And you know as well as I do that Calabasas has a challenge in terms of the topography and being able to reach all residents in an effective manner. Now, I know that some of the people involved in SERP are ham radio operators. Are they also involved in this workshop tomorrow?
So I think tomorrow, Chief Dyer can speak as well, but I think tomorrow is more to iron out our internal process and make sure that we have our internal process down. And then moving forward, we hope to do more involved drills that include, public communications and communications within the ham radio team. But tomorrow is more internal communications process.
Good. Well, it's a start, and yeah, carry on from that point of view. But having been here for many years and having gone through the Wolseley experience, as most of us have, that was a very frightening experience for the entire city. And the communication problems were so evident. As soon as the power goes out, basically internet, cell phones, everything is gone. So a lot of the traditional methods by which you would communicate with people just can go down so quickly in Calabasas. So big concern. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Chief Dyer?
Yeah, they just echo what Megan said. The idea of this workshop tomorrow is Zone Haven's pretty new, but all of us, quite honestly, in the city go, what do we do now? and so honestly, internally, and the nice thing is we're kind of a guinea pig. We're the first city in LA County where we're going to get to exercise the Zone Haven and then turn around and look at ourselves and see how we're going to do social media in the early stages. How are we going to communicate? How are we going to do the WIA and the Blackboard Connect in concert with Zone Haven? And I'm sure we're going to find some gaps tomorrow, but that's the whole idea. And so we're really looking forward to it. And I want to thank our partners, from fire and law, and certainly County OEM for helping us do this training tomorrow. And after we learn what we don't know or what we didn't do right, we'll certainly try to improve upon that. And then that's where we're going to reach out and get in and get Epic in and SERP in there and other community groups in there to try to improve. And I know Brian and I think we have a meeting tomorrow, so we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. But it's a very first start. And it's a very first start. And I'm really excited about it tomorrow. I know not everything's going to go right, but that's okay. If it goes right, if everything goes right, I'm not going to be as happy because I'm going to know that we missed something. So anyhow, that's we'll certainly share with the commissioners what we learn.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions for fire? I two quick ones. One was from a conversation we had earlier today for a number of years, this commission was pushing to make sure that our communities, our gated communities, have Knox access keys for both fire and sheriff. So the question came up that we hope most, if not all, have them at this point. If there are some missing, we'd love to know to see if we can help push their HOAs to get those installed. The other part of it, though, was a question was asked about private ambulance services. Obviously not yours to manage, but we were curious if those companies have similar access, or if the expectation is they would have to get provided access in an emergency.
Right, they do not. So if you have a private transport, that's going to have to be managed at the gate. Okay. So we have the ability to use that limited access system to get in. And so with that, if we have to leave somebody to keep it open because there's no gate guard or it's at a remote area that has that, we manage that so we can get resources up there that we need. But private ambulance companies will not and should not have access to those keys. They will have to be managed by if a homeowner is calling for a private ambulance company, that means that they don't need 911 for service. So they should be able to use the gate code and open the gate and get them and facilitate that transportation method because it's not of a 911 emergency. Is that so? But I can tell you from the jurisdictional engine companies, it's their responsibility if they see something that has added value to have this limited access system, or a NOC, as we can say generically it's called. They help either the homeowner or the community HOA to enhance that for us to have access.
Great. That's very helpful. Only other question I had, Megan, for you with the upcoming CERT classes, is there a minimum age for those that's enforced? Because that might be something our student members can pass along.
So I believe it's technically 15, but I think there's a little bit of wiggle room depending on, how mature the
Okay.
person is. Or so yeah, it's around 15, but we can maybe squeeze some people in if they're a little bit under that.
Great, good to know. So Jay, Ryan, that might be something we can look at with you when those classes get scheduled. It's a great program. I did it many years ago, as many have on this group. So something to consider. With that, thank you both again. We look forward to seeing you the next time around, and be safe out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support.
Debbie, we will hand it back to you for your reports.
Thank you. We have one last report, but there's quite a few items on it. And the first one, I think I'll just hand it back over to Michael Dyer to introduce our consultant. His name is Dave Jeffries, and we are gonna go over a PowerPoint presentation on our Emergency Operations Center, Emergency Operations Plan that we're working on. So I'll send it over to you, Michael, and you can.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to let the commissioners know we're steaming toward the finish line with a new emergency operations plan for the city of Calabasas that will replace the 2012 plan. Normally, these plans are updated every 3 to 5 years. So we have a little bit of updating to do. And we've had the privilege of working with a very, very experienced consultant who we worked with last year in the EOC with some of the training for the EOC. And he's got an extensive law enforcement and emergency management background. And so he's been working with us on updating the emergency operations plan and soon to be the COOP. I don't know if everybody knows what a COOP is. It's a continuity of operations plan, which means like if the city hall falls to the ground, how are we going to operate? And we're also then in turn going to go to, we're in the process of getting a grant for the community wildfire protection plan, which will take a look at the hazards. And I know Brian's familiar with it. And certainly Jeff's familiar with it. It'll kind of lay out how we address some of the hazards around the city and how we mitigate them. That'll probably take 1.5 years to do, but we're in the process of getting or applying for a CAL FIRE grant. So with that, without further ado, let me introduce our consultant, Dave Jeffries.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can see my screen here momentarily. Mike, is it up on your end? Okay, good to go. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, just a quick introduction. As Mike said, in spite of his fire background and my law background, we've been trying to get along.
You weren't supposed to start off like
that. But yeah, I spent 31 years in municipal law enforcement, retired as a police captain back in 2013. And since then, I've been consulting in emergency management as well as public safety communications. I have a master's degree in emergency and disaster management. I'm also a certified emergency manager from the International Association of Emergency Managers. I'm also an incident commander with Marin County Fire's North Bay Incident Management Team with about 30 deployments leading that team, including a number of EOC deployments, in addition to some of the EOCs I support directly, and including one deployment up to the town of Paradise during the campfire, which was quite an interesting deployment up there, considering what they were dealing with. And I think the last piece I was going to mention is the state has an organization called California Emergency Services Association. And I just completed my second term as one of the 3 chapter presidents and serving on their state board of directors as well. So as Mike mentioned, we worked together last year in doing some EOC training and an EOC tabletop exercise. It was a pleasure working with your staff, and we're moving on to the next phase. So the first thing I wanted to address with you is really what are we doing with this EOP? What's it about? And there's an old adage I think came from the military in the 40s that really the value in the plan is the planning process, and that's really the value in going through some of these things. So with the emergency operations plan, it's really to provide a planning basis about our coordinated responses to extraordinary events from both natural and human-caused emergencies within or affecting the city of Calabasas. And so the EOP is designed to look at that picture. It's usually a public document, so that anybody from the community can take a look at this too, and look at things like your hazard profile and things like that. So the EOP is divided into 2 parts. Part 1, again, deals with your structure, your organization, how the city is organized to respond to emergencies. Again, there is a part in that talks about your hazards that are specific to Calabasas, and that's an important part. As I work around the state and especially being part of the International Association and bopping around the country teaching and things, understanding your local hazards is really important because they do vary from location to location. Talks a little bit about roles and responsibilities, the Calabasas concept of emergency operations, and how the city implements both the federal National Incident Management System, or NIMS program, and the California SEMS, or Standardized Emergency Management System programs. And that's kind of a strategic high-level document that doesn't get too deep into the weeds, but really kind of lays out how you're set up to do that. Part 2 does dig down a little deeper, more into more tactical or task level stuff. Really focuses on how your emergency operations center and how it's going to run, its processes and considerations. Talks more deeply about the various sections of the EOC, which we'll talk about here in a moment, and also provides a lot of aids such as position checklists for each and every position in the EOC. Some plans and forms that help support the EOC in its operations, as well as a variety of forms that the EOC would be using, both in terms of their EOC action planning every day, as well as general use in the EOC. We were helped in this task to update your EOP in that LA County had reached out to a couple of consultants to develop a template for local government to use in LA County. And so we started with that template. Mike Brady and Kurt Johnson, a couple longtime emergency management folks. Mike specifically had a long history with Cal OES, had developed that template that we decided to use as the basis for this. But as you can imagine from LA, if you're trying to create a template for LA cities to use, it's a fairly generic template that takes a little customizing as you get into specific jurisdictions. So that's been a big piece of our effort here. For your particular EOC, this is the org chart that your staffs come up with for us to use in the EOP process. These all tend to be relatively unique as I work with different cities, and yours in particular with that 5th communication section is a little different too. And so as I explained to your city staff, frankly, the idea of this is to create a structure that works for you. It's built into both the incident command system and the EOC world, that there's flexibility in here to deal with local conditions and the way we want to work. This is a little different than the one I saw a year ago when we started doing the training, and that's part of this refinement process of walking through these and discussing what we do need and don't need. So Mike and Debbie are going to get you copies of the full draft plans here in the next couple of days. We just have a few little tweaks we're still doing to it before we give it to you for comment. but wanted to share with you some examples of some parts of this that you're going to see. And these are from part 2. So each of the positions, as I said, has a checklist. This one's for the EOC director, which would typically be Kindon, or the manager, which would typically be Mike. In each of these, you're only seeing a couple of pages of the 7, but there's an overview. Then you see on the right side, you see a section on the duties of that job. When you get activated, the steps you go through, and what would be on the following pages is response, how to deal with shift change or transition of duties as you're going off duty and someone's taking your place, going through the demobilization process when we're starting to shrink down the EOC or close it, getting to finally termination. And then these forms also include a place at the end for the person who's in that role to be taking notes on tasks that need to be passed along to their replacement, or any other notes they want to pass along. And so, like I said, these have all been custom created from the base template for your particular EOC and the positions that you will be having in your EOC. The next big chunk attached to part 2 is forms, and there's a couple examples of the forms, but there's initial briefing, there's the objectives, communication directories, status keeping, just a wide variety of documents, again, that are used both in the EOC action plan development process and to keep track of daily activity, check-in, check-out sheets, all sorts of things like that. And these, if you're familiar with the incident command world, are similar but different. The focus is different, and there isn't a standard set of forms in the EOC world that you see, but these should accommodate your needs quite well. And then the last piece of part 2 I just wanted to share is we have some other references in there. The one on the left in particular is one that I use both in the field and in the EOC. The one in the field is a little different, but the same idea of the planning P is really a guide for how your EOC is going to operate every single shift. And the lower leg of the P is what you do when you open up your EOC and walk through those steps. And then the rest of the P, as you circle around, is what your daily shift looks like. When we show up, we're going to get briefed. We're going to start doing this, work our way all the way around. And at the end of our shift, we turn it over to somebody else and start around again. And this is a key planning document, especially for your plan section chiefs, to guide the process in your EOC. On the other side is an example of one of the many status forms that we have in there. This, again, is a multi-page document, but it's a way to capture and display and share information that would be important to your jurisdiction. And lastly, before I open this up for questions, what we'd like to do when you get this, and as I said, hopefully it'll be this week, is we're open to any questions, feedback, suggestions that may come from you. Once we go through that iteration, we're looking at setting this up for a couple of public presentations and get some community feedback, and then finalizing this and taking it to the council. As Mike mentioned, we're starting to now work on a separate plan that's referred to alternately as a COOP plan, continuity of operations plan, or a COG, continuity of government plan. And as Mike mentioned, it really is an opportunity to walk through with your staff and look at things like the redundancy of our online records, facilities that could be used. And again, going through this planning process to have some hard conversations on that, and also succession planning. You know, what happens if you have that disaster and the city manager is unavailable for whatever reason? Do we have good succession planning in place for the city council? What's the succession planning for them? And state law provides a way to get around that if you haven't created it, but it's much better to have your own and look through those kinds of things. How would we open up City Hall someplace else? So that'll be part of the next plan coming up, and working directly with the departments on that. So with that, Mike.
Thanks, Dave. Great job. Now to what Dave said about getting feedback with part 1 and 2, I'd like the commissioners to focus on part 1 because part 2 is more tactics oriented, and unless Jeff gets involved a little bit or has questions about why there's a communication section, we can explain it to him. Really, part 1 is where I'd like the commissioners to focus on their comments and questions. Procedurally, what we'll do is we'll get something out by this Thursday or Friday to all of you for review. Give you a week to 10 days to review it. And then we'll summarize your questions. We'll try to answer your questions. We'll summarize your comments and carry them over to the Public Safety Task Force, who will then get to review it after you. And then after those are summarized and answered, then it'll go to the council. So we have a little ways to go. We should have something to you by this week. And probably by the next, if we can get a turnaround Friday or the following Monday, that'd be great. And again, that's why I said focus on part one, because part two is really more operations oriented, which is kind of what we've been doing for 35 or 40 years. And if anybody has any questions about it, we'd love to answer those questions, but focus on part one more so. We're going to give you both of them to look at, obviously, but that's where I focus the time because we need a fairly quick turnaround. Any questions for Dave or I? Jeff?
Yeah, Chief, we'll get that this week. You said?
Yeah, we're gonna get it to you Thursday or Friday. I'm aiming for Friday, probably Friday, because like Dave said, we got a few last minute changes, and we'll get it to you by Friday. I promise.
Great, thanks. Looking forward to seeing it.
Good. I think I'm excited about it. I think the fact that we were using this existing template really helped us out because they're familiar with our county. And this actually went through the DMAX as well. So it's better than like taking a template from Northern California. No offense, Dave. And then, you know, it's our county. It's you know, everything is up to date. And so it really assisted us with moving forward with it pretty quickly. Any questions from the commissioners for Dave or I?
And Mike, if I could, for Ryan and Jay, I first learned how to spell emergency management when I was in high school. It can be an interesting career path.
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking at this stuff in the 70s for the first time.
Ryan and Jay, he's older than dirt. Even older than me. No, I don't know about that.
Oh, we appreciate the inclusion.
We're really happy to have Dave. He's familiar with our city from working with us on the EOC, so that helped out as well.
Thank you, Dave and Michael. That'll be very curious to see it. That'll be my first look since the 2012 of it all. So that's great. Glad we can provide some comment and help.
If the commissioners would like the 12 plan, I could send them that as well, just to kind of compare it. If you'd like, I can do that.
Sure, that'd be great.
Isn't it available on live online?
Yes, it is. I was just trying to.
Oh.
trying to save a step, you know. Excellent.
Norma, right? Did you have a question, Norma?
No, I was just gonna say you could find it online.
You're right. Thank you all.
Right.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you all. Looking forward to hearing back from you.
Great presentation.
Debbie, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, back to the emergency preparedness report. We seem to have covered almost all the items on here. I don't know if Michael, if you want to say anything else about that CAL FIRE grant that you're applying for or finished applying for.
I could tell you there's part of the time while I've been going through it, I wish I'd have hired another consultant to help me write the grant. But we're getting close, should have something done. The CAL FIRE grant, we're going to ask for money to do a community wildfire protection plan. I'm confident. We're working with LA County Fire, who actually is the first step in seeing the grant before it goes to the state. So that's a good thing. There's one thing I also wanted to mention. Debbie and I are attending the governor's task force on wildfire resiliency. I believe it's at Gillette Ranch on February 2nd and 3rd. And we kind of stuck our nose in to hopefully find out what's going on there. There's going to be professionals from all over the state. So we'll try to bring back any information we can to the commissioners and to the city. I was just speaking to a fire chief from up north in Marin, and he's coming all the way down here to go to it. So it must be kind of important. We didn't hear about it till real late in the game as it goes, even though they said Calabasas, everybody was going, well, nobody's told Calabasas, but it's at Gillette Ranch. And that's all I have.
Okay. So the next item I have on here is the CERT training. And as Megan had told you, it's going to begin March 7th. It'll be in Founders Hall from 6 to about 8:30 p.m. I will send out the flyer and we'll send it out to everybody for that class. We've also opened up classes to our staff for it's called OARS training. It's Operational Area Response and Recovery System, and it's just a software program that allows all 88 cities in the county to report on if there's a disaster, what is going on in their city. So then the county can have an idea of what's going on, and you can request resources and things like that. So that's part of the emergency operations plan. And so we're gonna offer training for our staff on that. And we are also sending a couple of our folks through the public information officer training. It's a 4-day class, and so that should be good. We're going to send our 2 PIOs, and then we're also coordinating a fire extinguisher class. How to use a fire extinguisher. Now in the CERT class, we have one of the sessions does that. So if you're interested, if you see it on the CERT agenda, you can come to just that class if you really want to use a fire extinguisher. It's kind of fun. The next item I have on here is Brian Cameron was going to give us an update on EPIC. So Brian, are you ready to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
We're still scrambling through the weather, but we're getting back up to speed on our home hardening evaluations. Got one tomorrow, and we'll start scheduling others who have expressed an interest in having it done very soon, within the next couple of weeks. Have a second evaluator who is coming online. And I've got trying to reach a trainer to come down and train more evaluators. That's part of one of the grants I got from CAL FIRE, and to fund that program. Yeah, but so far I haven't been able to identify anybody. So Chief, if you know somebody that I can reach out to, I mean, we're willing to pay for it, a reasonable sum, to have them do a training session, open up to city personnel as well. On the communication side, Echo is our communications platform based upon amateur radio. We're starting to train the duty officers now. We had gotten a grant for the communication, the actual radio in a box, that's going to also include a WinLink connection, which will allow us, among other things, to send emails through the amateur radio structure to a similar WinLink site outside of our affected geographic area, so that we'll be able to send emergency messages via email to local areas that need it, even if, the internet is down in our neighborhood. And our third area is the app. The app actually exists now. It's available on Google Play and on the Apple Station. However, it's not populated yet. We're still sourcing the materials we're going to put into it. So you can download it, but it won't open. So we're making progress. For a bunch of volunteers, we're making progress. And finally, we too are we as in me, are putting together a grant application to CAL FIRE also for wildfire prevention management. So we'll be competing against you, Mike.
Oh, no. They're going to give it to you. We need a community wildfire protection plan.
Yes. Well, you're applying for the community one. We're applying for the individual one. So maybe we're not crossing. I have to have mine done by March 15th. So
me too.
It's a pain. It's a pain. And that's all I got, Debbie.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item I have on here is we have a Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy grant, and we've had that for a while now, and things are slow as far as getting some of the things that we have, the equipment that we've ordered, because everything is slow to order. So we're waiting for the parts. We're waiting for our mobile EOC trailer. So once we get that, it'll take them about a month to install everything inside. And we are also working with that same grant. We're going to be installing an internet connection for our AM radio system that we have. And so we're beefing that system up, and that'll allow us to program it remotely. We're also I am applying for an additional grant with the Santa Monica Mountains for more fuel reduction, tree removal, brush clearance. And also I'd like to get assistance with the outreach for home hardening and defensible space assessments, similar to what Brian is doing in Epic. So maybe we'll, work on all these together.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So that's that Santa Monica Mountains grant. We touched on Zone Haven. And as we mentioned, we're having a tabletop exercise tomorrow. That should be interesting. Zone Haven told us that they have an app that will be coming out for a few of us just to look at and test. It hasn't come out yet, but I'm waiting for it. And then when I may send it to you just to look at, to test it. We weren't expecting them to have an app, but I think it's a really nice idea that they're going to do, because you need an app on your phone so you can tell what's going on when you're out and about and you're not next to your computer. So I will let you know when the app is made public. Next item, the safety element of the general plan. I don't know if anybody had a chance to check into the Planning Commission meeting last Thursday night. And the Planning Commission, they had reviewed all the comments. And did anybody attend? Norma? No. Joe, were you there?
Yeah, I not only attended, I wrote written comments.
Oh, I saw that.
They're in public correspondence, yes. Everyone loves an email from Joe, so I don't disappoint them.
Right.
And I stayed until the end, 10:30.
Me too. So that was that. And then I think they have to take it to the council pretty soon. And the last item we covered at the very beginning which was the Public Safety Commission Crime Prevention Task Force with the Council Public Safety Task Force and the Public Safety Commission Crime Prevention Task Force. So we got all our task force together and we're going to do our meeting on February 2nd. And that's all I have for the emergency preparedness report. Any questions or comments? Brian?
Zone Haven. Can we do something, anything to make it sexier? I mean, I look at it, Zone Haven, and it says it's an evacuation program. I've lived here for 27 years and I've evacuated exactly once. And so I struggled with, okay, why is this relevant to me now when it hasn't been relevant other than one time in the last 27 years? So is there something we can do in packaging it without necessarily changing it? I think the concept is terrific and we need to move forward. We just need to work on the communication side of things.
Well, we welcome your ideas. I mean, just maybe we can talk offline and see if we can do something.
That's probably for Chief Smith or Megan to address with zone, because the county has the contract. I get what you're saying, Brian. I mean, now they just to let you know, with the recent rains and floods, they use Zone Haven for that as well.
Okay.
So it's not just in a fire evacuation. I just call it, it's a preparedness or an evacuation software. It might not always be used for evacuation. I get what you're saying. But we could talk about it offline with Chief Smith and Megan. And we have a meeting with County OEM. If you have any thoughts, please send them to me and I could ask them. Now I'll tell you, Zone Haven, they don't want to give up that name because it sticks in your head. And it's like, you know how that goes. It's like the Verizon commercial or the
it's an earworm.
Right.
And they're not even Zone Haven anymore. They're called Genesis. So,
So which one are you going to remember? Are you going to remember Zone Haven or Genesis?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's like, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chief
so
Dyer, it's Megan. I'm just wanted to chime in real quick on this one. I'm driving right now, so
okay.
I can't.
Don't crash.
I won't crash. But we definitely can follow up offline, and Brian, we can discuss it some more. I do have some ideas, and there is some stuff that we've been thinking about internally. The branding issue is a big deal. The company is considering a name change, but the product that we're using is still called Zone Haven. Genesis is just the parent company, so we are still using Zone Haven, but I definitely would like to follow up and talk offline about this some more.
Great. Thank you, Megan.
Because I think they want to be known as not just an evacuation software too.
Right. I would imagine.
Yeah. So you might get some proprietary, you might get some kind of consideration for that if you figure out a new name.
I'll work on it tonight.
Okay.
Hey, you had a question?
Oh, I had a comment. I really do think that name Zone Haven, it has stuck in my head at least, and I know for a lot of other citizens it probably will, compared to Genesis. And the branding is really, really important. So yeah, I think that time should obviously be spent on this, and I think it's okay if it's not rolled out immediately. But really the branding and how they process this will be important in the future, and how citizens will use it. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Agree. It's to Brian's point, we want something that people will pay attention to more than once in 27 years. So that is important.
There is a concept in marketing called the clash, CLASH, and you may not recognize the term, but you definitely recognize once it's pointed out. For example, Dodge, famous for that. At the end of every commercial, it's that, or I can't, but every major advertising campaign has a clash that's designed to lock into your brain the message that you just received. It's also very telling that commercials, once they come out, are typically 60 to 30 seconds long, and that over time, as people see it, they start cutting it back because it's cheaper to run a 15-second commercial than it is to run a 30-second commercial. And what they've found is that even though they've taken out key elements of that commercial, your brain fills it in. So your brain is providing some of the advertising that they're saving money on by trimming it down. Anyhow, that's, yeah, you all know about it, all of you guys, so never mind. Back to you, Debbie.
So we'll work on that. Anything else? Brian?
I spoke to Matt and Sharon about this, but this is regarding the fentanyl epidemic. Would the Public Safety Commission, would dealing with fentanyl, would that fall under like one of our, I guess, duties to deal with? And is there like, are there things that we can do or are planning to do to raise awareness or like spread, I guess raising awareness is the best way to deal with the epidemic. Like I know CHS has a cop full-time on campus and the cop has confiscated drugs. I don't know if it was fentanyl or like something else, but he's not there for like simple things like vaping anymore. He's there for like, because of literally fentanyl. He's come to classes and spoke about it. And at least in CHS, we had the opportunity of hearing a presentation about fentanyl, and we learned about all the laws that protect students, such as the Good Samaritan's Law, that if you know someone who is engaging in like illegal activities and they're your friend or you're at a party, you can call the cops and you won't be in trouble and they won't be in trouble. And I just felt that presentation was super useful to a younger audience. And we also learned about like how fentanyl is distributed. A lot of people who OD on fentanyl don't take fentanyl like intentionally. They get counterfeit drugs, or like they're buying some like Adderall off counterfeit websites or online through, I don't know, I wouldn't know where, but they get drugs that are not over the counter and that's how they OD. So I thought that presentation was useful. I don't know if that's something that Calabasas or like the safety committee could further like address or like what else we could do, but I just want to raise that to attention.
Sharon? Yeah.
What I would say about that, and I know that the fentanyl was part of the agenda that we had put together, and we've talked to Mike Dyer and to Debbie about it. But that should be something for future agenda on maybe having a presentation done on it. It wouldn't happen, it needs to go beyond the students. It needs to get to the adults in the community as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Debbie, maybe we're just about at our future agenda items, so that might be one to add for the future, at least for the next time. And then
you bet.
I think
I've got it already.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Jay, you had
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on what Ryan said. I'm a part of the Superintendent Youth Council of LVUSD, and I know at least Dr. Stepanowski and this, we've taken a lot of action. I think we've implemented Narcan in the schools, as well as training staff to use that, and that's what they provided. And I think that's obviously a good start. And this is a few months ago, before really the fentanyl related deaths started happening. But I know like the CHS that presentation we had on fentanyl, that was also at Viewpoint as well. And I think that was in like November of last year. It was a few months before we had it. But they had that. And also for vaping, at least, we're also trying to implement like halo sensors into the bathrooms to, in an attempt to, crunch down on that. But I think obviously this is an important matter that the Public Safety Commission should maybe act on. But I know the Superintendent Youth Council and the students there are also doing their part as well to try to stop this.
Great, thank you. Yeah, well, it's a topic that's come up multiple times for sure. So I think it's something we can focus on moving forward. Joe, good. One more comment, and we'll kind of save most of this, I think, for the next time on this particular one.
Right. I just wanted to say, I posted about that webinar last year. I put it up on the Calabasas unofficial page and also next door to get word out to the community about it. And slowly, yeah, people are beginning to get educated about it. But as both our students have pointed out, it's very often a case of somebody not realizing what they're taking. And it's a huge problem now for that age group. So I think it's important that we respond to all the residents in Calabasas and their particular concerns. So I'd like to see, I certainly would second that. And I'm sure that evacuation routes are going to be on future agenda items, but if I'll put in a plug for them now, as we go into the various documents that we're going to have to be reviewing over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure it's all going to play into that, but that's a big concern for any of the communities, and there are a high number of them that have limited ingress and egress in emergency situations. And just to wrap up what Brian was saying before, yeah, most people don't think about an emergency until they're having one. So we have to remind them of that. I had a conversation with a medical professional the other day where I said, can you believe it's been 29 years since the Northridge earthquake? And I said, do you remember where you were? Were you in Los Angeles? And they said, yeah, I was 3. So, you know, a whole new generation is coming up, and yeah, they're going to be here for the next one. So we need to get the word out to everyone. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joe. And I believe the evacuation routes are included with the general plan updates.
The safety element.
Yeah. So we'll be
Not part of the EOP.
Yeah. So we'll continue to see those as those conversations happen for sure. I think that brings us close to the end here, folks. For future agenda items, we have noted an appreciation luncheon, which we've talked about for quite some time, kind of before and during COVID, along with teen court involvement. I think we'll continue to hold those since we're quite over in our time for this session. And maybe we can chat a bit about those the next time around to see if there's any follow-up or any ideas on how those can move forward, or if we want to keep those on as items. Are there, other than the fentanyl conversation we just had, are there any other significant future agenda items to add in? Sharon?
I want to make sure that we keep on the future agenda items the meeting that we originally wanted to have. I don't want to lose sight of that. I don't want it to get lost. So I kind of want a little bit of a placeholder on that one.
Good idea. Yeah, like the crime, we can call it our crime expo or safety expo or something like that.
Yeah.
Crime prevention.
Sure.
Yep.
And I think that'll be, by the time we meet again, we'll have had this HOA meeting, and I think we'll have some follow-ups from that point to start structuring that. So good idea. Norma?
During council meeting, I think it was 2 council meetings ago, I think I sent Sharon the date. James Bazagian had asked the Public Safety Commission to take a look at the sheriff's contract. And I actually didn't believe what I heard. So I went back and I listened to it once again. So he has actually given us a task, and I didn't want it to, if it was a mistake, I'd like to know. But if he's actually given us a task, I do have the contract if anyone else would like to have it to take a look at, just prematurely. And yes, Brian, you want me to send you it? Okay, I will. The other thing is I wanted to hit again, maybe hit is the wrong word, but touch again on the communication. I really would like us to brainstorm communication generally and specifically. And I know that it's a knotty problem, but I would like us to have it on the agenda so that we can all contribute. And that would be talking about outreach to businesses as well. So I'd like to propose those as two future agenda items.
So Norma, from the communication side, are you talking about communications from the city out to local businesses and residents? Is that, or am I understanding that right, or was that something different?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That somewhat goes beyond the social, the tweets and the whatever the social media things people are using. Yes, I'd like to really take a look at that. And I know Debbie wrote to me and said how the social media and how the outreach with Blackboard and WIA and so forth. But I think we really need to brainstorm, in my opinion, a little broader outlook. How do we attract them? How do we attract people? I think sometimes we confuse apathy with people just don't know. So I'd like to brainstorm that a little.
Okay, understood. Debbie, maybe that's something we can get our city comms folks involved in at some point, but we can look at that for the future. Sharon?
One last point. We were all asked, I believe, about attending in person versus Zoom going forward. And Debbie, as soon as you have any information on that, that would be great so that we can start planning for the future if there is a change.
I will. I heard that the council may be addressing this for the commissions, but I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Great. It sounds like we've got, and I guess, sorry, to go back to Norma's comment about the sheriff's contract. Debbie, Michael, have you heard anything about that?
I just texted Kendon to ask
okay,
what his direction would be, because I would think you'd have to have a council vote on that, but
I would say maybe if we can get some clear direction on that before we dive in too deep, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it sounds like we've got a few things to work on moving forward, so that's great. For our first meeting, we have a lot to do for this year and the upcoming sessions. So before we adjourn, just a reminder, if please all are welcome on the commission to attend the February 2nd Founders Hall presentation, and we appreciate it if you can make it. If you can't, by all means, please try to attend or remotely, or watch it remotely as a follow-up, so you know what's discussed for our future meetings and trainings. And thank you again for joining tonight. If there's no additional comments, we'll look for a motion to adjourn. Sharon?
I get to say this for the first time in years. I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Fantastic. Do we have a second? And Joe is
Yes,
second.
I will second that. We'll second that motion.
Right. Fantastic. With that, we will adjourn this evening and see everyone April 24th, 2023, maybe in person at 6 p.m. either at Founders Hall or back here on Zoom. Thanks everybody again for attending and participating. Good night, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.